The conference room at Nexus Biotech felt smaller than it ever had. Maybe it was the tension buzzing in the air, or maybe it was the weight of what I knew was about to happen. I took my usual seat, watching my brother Michael pace around like he already owned the place. He'd come prepared, two high-priced lawyers trailing him, and our father beaming with pride, as he always did for his golden boy. Emma. Michael's grin was all performance, teeth without warmth. Thanks for gathering everyone on such short notice. I gave a small nod, glancing at the confused faces of my board members, people who had believed in me 5 years ago, when Nexus was nothing more than a dream scribbled on coffee-stained napkins. Now, standing on the edge of transforming cancer treatment with our nanotech drug delivery system, my brother had arrived to take everything. As you all know, Michael began, straightening his Italian silk tie, Vertex Pharmaceuticals has been acquiring innovative biotech firms. What you don't know is that I've just been appointed their new director of acquisitions. My stomach tightened. So that's how he planned to do it. I've reviewed Nexus's financials, he continued, nodding toward one of his attorneys. The man stepped forward, passing folders down the table. While the research shows promise, the company lacks the capital to reach full potential. Vertex can provide that support. Dr. Sarah Martinez, my head of research, interjected calmly. We're actually very close to phase AUV trials. Yes, Michael interrupted with a dismissive wave. But let's be realistic. Emma's little startup needs some adult supervision. I didn't flinch at his tone. I'd lived under that same condescension my entire life. When I chose molecular biology instead of business school. When I poured my inheritance into lab equipment instead of buying a luxury condo. When I missed his wedding because I was finalizing our first successful trial. The offer is generous. Vertex will retain all current staff and research. Miss Thorne will be given a comfortable consultant. Of course, Michael smirked. Your little startup is mine now, sis. Don't worry. I'll take good care of your science project. His attorney unfolded the ownership papers and the practice flash. The room went quiet as everyone made way to review the documents. Then, suddenly, the silence changed. Michael's confident expression briefed. There must be some mistake. Is there? I asked softly, my first real words of warning. These patents suspended from the pages, confusion mounted. They're all registered to me. Personally, I finished reading. Not to Nexus Biotech. To me, whispers broke. Michael's face flushed into gray. That's impossible. The company licenses the patents. I couldn't smooth it. The detail you might have caught if you'd actually done proper due diligence instead of smoothing was too naive to attempt to say. I rose, smoothing the front of my silver blackness. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every single piece of intellectual property that makes our delivery system revolutionary belongs to me. Personally, the agreement was filed with the Patent Office 3 years ago. Dad. Michael turned toward our father, who had been unusually quiet. Did you know about this? Dad suddenly looked older, smaller even. I never checked. You said you'd reviewed everything. Oh, he reviewed what he wanted to see. I replied evenly, picking up my tablet. Just like always. But while you both were busy underestimating me, I was busy creating safeguards. I turned to face the board. Ladies and gentlemen, given this attempted hostile takeover, I move to suspend the meeting. We'll reconvene once our legal team has evaluated Mr. Thorne's proposal. The board members exchanged quick glances, then began gathering their belongings. They'd seen enough corporate wars to know when to make a quiet exit. You can't do this, Michael's voice cracked. Vertex has already announced the acquisition to major shareholders. Actually, I said, allowing myself the first real smile of the day. I can, and I already have. But by all means, feel free to explain to Vertex how you failed to confirm patent ownership before trying to seize $1 billion technology. I walked toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Michael, that consulting role you so generously offered me? I turned back to meet his stunned expression. I'll have to decline. The sound of his expensive briefcase crashing to the floor followed me out into the hallway. My phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Martinez. That was magnificent. But what now? I typed back. Now we show them exactly what they tried to steal. Because while Michael had been busy playing corporate chess, I'd been busy changing the world. And I was only just beginning. I stepped into my private lab, the true heart of Nexus Biotech. The place where I'd spent endless nights perfecting the technology they thought they could simply take. On the main screen, our latest trial results illuminated the room. Data that promised to transform cancer treatment forever. Results that were rightfully mine. The phone buzzed again, Dad this time. We need to talk. I let it roll to voicemail. They'd had years to talk, to listen, to grasp what I was creating. Now they could wait while I finished what they never believed in. Because sometimes the quietest person in the room isn't silent from emptiness. They're silent because they're too busy reshaping the world to waste breath on those who never cared to hear. And I had a world to reshape. By morning, Vertex Pharmaceuticals stock had plunged 15%. Headlines exploded about a failed acquisition and undisclosed patent disputes. I watched the market chaos from my lab, calmly reviewing the latest trial readings. Dr. Thorne, my assistant's voice came through the intercom. Your father's here again. And something else. What is it, Julia? The NIA just called. They want to accelerate our approval. Apparently, someone sent them the complete trial data. A small smile tugged at my lips, remembering the encrypted files I'd sent the night before. How convenient, I said. Tell my father I'll give him 10 minutes. He looked smaller somehow, standing in the middle of my lab, the great Thomas Thorne, venture capitalist legend, now surrounded by the very machines he once called a waste of money. The Vertex board wants Michael to step down, he said without preface. Not my concern. Emma, please. He's your brother. I carefully slid a glass plate under the microscope. Was he my brother when he tried to steal my company? When he called my work a hobby, he couldn't be bothered to understand. I adjusted the focus, watching cancer cells disintegrate under the lens. No, Dad. He never tried to understand. Neither did you. I'll admit, I misjudged you. Everyone did, I said softly. That was your mistake. I straightened and gestured to the microscope. Do you know what this is? He shook his head. This is the next era of cancer therapy. Precision nanoparticles delivering drugs straight to malignant cells, leaving healthy ones untouched. No side effects. 94% success rate in trials. That's not possible. No, I said, that's science. The same science you and Michael mocked while it changed the world. I brought up the trial results on the main display. The NIA is expediting approval. In 6 months, this treatment will be saving lives. He stared, voice barely a whisper. My God. Emma, your 10 minutes are over, I said, turning back to my microscope. Julia will show you out. Wait. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a folder. Michael asked me to deliver this, another offer from Vertex. Triple the original bid. I took it, slid it straight into the shredder without opening it. Tell Michael he can keep his money. I already have something better. I glanced at the data on the screen, a quiet satisfaction filling the room. I have proof. I have results. After he left, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Michael, 2 from Mom, and a single text from Dr. Martinez. Big pharma vultures were already circling. 5 acquisition proposals had hit my inbox by morning. I replied to each one, declined. We're staying independent. Because independence was the very thing I'd fought for. The right to follow my research on my own terms, without corporate strings or family politics tangling it up. My phone rang again. Unknown number. The voice on the other end was recognizable. Dr. Thorne? This is Dr. Sandra Collins from the NIA Review Board. We've gone through your trial results. They're extraordinary. Thank you, I said quietly. We'd like to place you in the Fast Track program. If all goes well, your therapy could be cleared before the end of the year. I glanced back at the microscope, watched the cancer cells collapsing one by one under the assault of my nanoparticles. That would be acceptable, I replied. There's one more thing. She hesitated. The Nobel Committee has requested your full research documentation. I eased into my chair, absorbing the words. The Nobel Prize. The pinnacle. I'll have everything sent over today. After the call ended, I stepped toward the lab window. From here, I could see the Vertex Pharmaceuticals tower, where Michael was likely packing up his things. In the glass, my reflection stared back. No longer the quiet little sister, but Dr. Emma Thorne, scientist, innovator, game changer. My phone buzzed. A message from Michael. "You've destroyed me. Happy now." I typed back. "I didn't destroy you. Your own arrogance did that. But don't worry, when we cure cancer, I'll make sure you get a discount. Because sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself wrong." And I was on the verge of proving something that really should. 6 months later, I stood behind the podium at the National Institutes of Health conference. Camera flashes strobed as I announced the FDA approval of our treatment. On the screen behind me, real-time footage displayed our nanoparticles obliterating cancer cells. This isn't just a treatment. This is a revolution in oncology that is only the beginning. Questions fired from every direction. Dr. Thorne, what's it like to be the youngest scientist ever nominated for the Nobel Prize in Medicine? Will Nexus Biotech remain independent? Any comment on Vertex Pharmaceuticals and AMC? I handled them all with calm precision, just as I had handled every obstacle in the lab. But the final question made me pause. Dr. Thorne, your brother, Michael Thorne, recently claimed this technology was stolen from me. Care to respond? I allowed a faint smile. The patent records speak clearly for decisions. Now, if you excuse me, I have patients waiting. Back in my office, Dr. Martinez was in a fresh The survival rate steady at 96%, she said. It's unprecedented. Could I start reviewing the data and begin drafting documentation for our next project? It's already done, she replied, then hesitated. Your mother's here. I looked up. Where? Reception. She's been sitting there all morning, watching the press conference on TV. I sighed. Send her in. Mom walked in, looking nearly the same as ever, elegant, composed, every detail in place. But her eyes told a different story as they drifted over the walls lined with awards, patents, and everything she hadn't been part of. I watched you on TV, she said quietly. You were incredible. Thank you. Michael's not doing well. I know. Dad's trying to get him a role at one of his companies. She twisted her wedding ring, an old nervous habit I remembered from when I was little. He didn't mean to. Yes, he did, I interrupted gently. He meant to take everything I built because he never believed I was capable of building anything worth keeping. None of you did. We were wrong. She reached into her purse and pulled out a worn photograph. Me at 7 years old, oversized safety goggles swallowing my face, leaning over my first chemistry set. You were always different, she murmured. Always quiet. Always thinking. We should have seen it. You saw what you wanted, I said, handing the photo back. A quiet girl who should have been more like her driven brother. You never noticed I had my own dreams. She tilted her head. And now? What are those dreams, now that you've proved us all wrong? I turned toward the window, where construction crews were breaking ground on Nexus Biotech's new research campus. Now, I'm going to cure more diseases, make more discoveries, save more lives without interference. Then I softened. But if you truly want to understand what I do, lab tours are on Thursdays. She nodded slowly, recognizing the gesture for what it was, an invitation. I'll be there. After she left, I went down to my lab, my true home. On the desk sat a sealed envelope from the Nobel Committee. I didn't need to open it. Their approval didn't matter anymore. I already had proof, results. My phone buzzed. A text from Michael, congratulations. I was wrong. Then one from Dad. You've changed the world, Emma. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. And finally, Dr. Martinez, ready to begin the next revolution? I smiled, slipping on my lab coat. Always. Because success isn't defined by patents, awards, or the satisfaction of being right. It's about reshaping the world while others doubt you. And I was only just beginning. 1 year later, I stood in Stockholm, accepting the Nobel Prize in Medicine. My family sat in the audience, not as skeptics or gatekeepers, but as witnesses to what happens when you underestimate the quiet ones. In my speech, I didn't bring up the failed takeover or the family drama. Instead, I spoke about the patients, thousands now living cancer-free because of our treatment. I spoke of the next frontiers in medical science. And I spoke of the strength found in quiet perseverance. Sometimes, I concluded, the greatest breakthroughs come from the people you least expect, the ones working silently while others talk, the ones transforming the world while others plan to control it. Later that night, back in my Stockholm lab, I caught my reflection in the window. Nobel laureate, CEO, scientist. The once quiet girl who had changed the world. My phone buzzed again. A message from a young researcher. Dr. Thorne, we think we found something new in the Alzheimer's trials. I smiled and reached for my lab coat. Because this was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving what's possible when you stop listening to doubt and start listening to that quiet voice that whispers, discover, create, revolutionize. And I was still listening.